City Center Radio is episode 178, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Wednesday, October 4th, 2023. Coming on the air with breaking news. Well, neither of those are really true, as this is a podcast. I am not live, and the breaking news I'm speaking about in this moment will be old news by the time you listen to this podcast. But just so you understand the background, as I am recording this podcast, the U.S. House of Representatives has just made history by voting to vacate the Speaker of the House. That means Kevin McCarthy has been voted out. He is no longer Speaker. Now, as I'm recording this, the vote just became official. I'm not going to dive into the minutia and, the background and anything like that. By the time you hear this, there could be a lot of things that have happened. It's unsure who may decide they want to run for lack of a better term, for Speaker of the House. If there's somebody that's going to be presented by another member, if McCarthy can win it back. So there's a lot to still be worked out. But for our purposes, that is the big news that is happening as of I'm recording this. Again, historical moment. As far as South Carolina is concerned, all but two members of the South Carolina House delegation voted against this removal. The two that voted for the removal, Democrat James Clyburn, no surprise there. Democrats were not exactly willing to help McCarthy keep his speakership, as he is in the opposing party, and of course has said all sorts of things about them as a party, and is leading an impeachment inquiry into Biden that they don't, President Joe Biden, that they don't feel is necessary or in good faith. So no surprise that he was getting no help from the Democrats. But the other vote, Nancy Mace. Yes, that is correct. Nancy Mace voted against Kevin McCarthy. She said nope, rather said yes to the vote of should we remove Speaker McCarthy. I'm paraphrasing. They use much different language, of course, for the official proceedings, but that was her vote, was to vacate that speaker seat. So interesting. She has posted something online saying this was about broken promises, alluding to like McCarthy said he would do something for her or for Republicans that he didn't. But based on her comments leading up to the vote and the fact that she did not signal which way she was going, whereas just about every member of the House had either come out outright instead of what they were doing or had basically signaled which way they were going, it is my opinion that she was just waiting to see which way the wind blows, as she tends to do, and realized that this was not going to go in Kevin McCarthy's favor. And that is why she joined the majority and went ahead and did that. But who knows? Maybe it really was about broken promises, even though if that was the case, you would think she would have come out strongly and said that instead of, oh, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. But that is where we landed. That is the breaking news. Again, a lot could change by the time you hear this on Wednesday or whenever you finally do tune in. But that is where we are at right now with the big national news. Nothing really going on in my world otherwise, just paying attention to all this stuff. So we're going to dive now into the local news, which is what you're really here for. File this under do not blame the messenger. I know a lot of people don't like these stories. I am just sharing them with you. But for the second straight year and the 12th time in the last 13 years, Charleston has been named the most popular city in the United States by the readers of Conde Nast Traveler. In addition to the number one small city, U.S. City Award, Kiowa Island remains a top destination for the magazine's readers, as it was voted number 2 in the top islands in the United States category. Meanwhile, the Beach Club at Charleston Harbor Resort and Marina earned a spot among the 50 best resorts in the world. It, along with the Sanctuary at Kiowa Island Golf Resort and the Wild Dunes Resort, were included in the top 20 resorts in the South list. And the following hotels were included in the 10 best hotels in Charleston specifically. So those other awards I just mentioned were for the region or the nation, or in the case of the Beach Club, with the best resorts in the world. But this is just the top hotels in Charleston based on the reader feedback. They do this for the cities that, rank highly on these lists. That, they then say, well, hey, if you want to go travel to these places that are winning awards, these are the hotels that people who voted for the city say are the best. So, according to them, number one, Charleston Place, the Dewberry, French Quarter Inn, Hotel Bennett, the Palmetto Hotel, the Pinch, the Restoration, the Spectator Hotel, the Vendu, and Zero George. So, those are the top 10 hotels in Charleston, according to Conde Nast Travelers readers. The full results of the 36th annual awards were announced Tuesday and will be in the November issue of the magazine, but they are already available online. Check the link in the show notes if you would like to see those lists. But the big headline, of course, Charleston, second straight year and 12th time in the last 13 years that it was named the most popular city in the U.S. Specifically, they break it up by small cities and big cities. Charleston falls under the small city category. Remember, this is not my fault. I am just sharing what the readers of Condé Nast supposedly voted for. I remember when Charleston first started winning these awards, people were excited. They were happy, myself included. They thought it was really cool. You could kind of brag on where you're from or where you've moved to and call home now. Hey, my city is voted the best in the world. But after about 4 years, the tide started to turn and people started to hate these awards, making claims, unfounded claims from what, as in there's no proof of any of this, that somehow Charleston, some organization has sent money to Condé Nast Traveler to make sure we win this award every year, or we spend enough in advertising. But supposedly, and I have no reason to think this isn't the case, this particular award is voted on by the readers of Condé Nast Traveler. But that doesn't stop the rumor mill. Even the people who believe that everything, no, this is on the up and up. It's just the readers voting this way. Some of them are getting tired of it too, saying it brings too much tourism here, or more. What angers them even more than that is that it's bringing more people moving here. Causing issues like traffic and rent and housing prices to go up, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So again, wherever you fall on this spectrum of, hey, it's cool Charleston wins awards, or no, I'm tired of this, it's bringing too many tourists and people moving here. I did not make these awards. I am just sharing them with you all. Share your anger or happiness elsewhere. The blowback against the 4 members of the Charleston County School District Board of Trustees who voted to put Dr. Eric Gallion, the superintendent, on administrative leave with pay while there's an investigation going on, amongst some other decisions they have made. It's continuing. More politicians, more local leaders have come out expressing either outright accusations against those members, or just simply saying a little bit more transparency, a little bit more openness is needed. Regardless, there's not a lot of people, at least not no one with profile, as high as some of these politicians coming out. There's obviously people in the community who are defending these members of the board and are happy with their decisions. But most of the people in power or with platforms have come out against these decisions in some capacity. Again, some are saying, hey, can we just get a little bit more background? I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but we need a little bit more info. What's going on? It feels like we're missing out on some details. One of the biggest people who have released a statement is the current city of Charleston mayor, John Tecklenburg. He did exactly that, called for more transparency in the wake of these recent decisions that have led to what he called a crisis of confidence from the district's constituents. In a statement that was released on Tuesday, Tecklenburg asked the board to hold a public meeting to explain the decisions to place Superintendent Dr. Eric Gallion on paid administrative leave, the refusal to appoint Michelle Simmons as the chief academic officer, and the dismissal of members from the district's health advisory committee. So, Mayor Tecklenburg, just the latest person to come out and ask for, again, at least a little bit more transparency. Meanwhile, some other local politicians like Marvin Pendarvis have come out a little bit more forcefully about what he believes may be going on there. But a lot of people are just asking for, hey, we just need a little bit more info. Will that actually happen? We'll see. Now, like I said, I just haven't come across any defense of these members of the board. It may be out there. I just haven't come across it yet. I haven't been sent any press releases from any politicians or organizations that are saying, no, hey, this was the right move. We applaud them for doing this. There's certainly people in the community that are fine with it, but a lot of people with power are saying there needs to be a little bit more information here. Maybe it will actually lead to that. At this point, it has not led to any changes, but I will certainly keep you all posted. And our last story for this hump day has to do with Gadsden Green. Residents of the Gadsden Green apartments are taking legal action against the Charleston Housing Authority over what they call the deplorability of their living conditions. A complaint was filed against the Charleston Housing Authority on September 28th in the Charleston County Court of Common Pleas 9th Judicial Circuit, where 10 residents of the Gadsden Green apartments are listed as plaintiffs. For those who don't know, that apartment complex is a low-income public housing complex that is owned and managed by the Charleston Housing Authority. The alleged issues cited by the complaint include rat infestation, improperly maintained electrical systems, and persistent water leakage causing significant mold and mildew growth. Through the complaint, the residents are seeking a court order that would require the Charleston Housing Authority to put their homes in a fit, inhabitable condition, as well as relocate the residents to a fit, inhabitable apartment homes, and then finally stay any and all eviction proceedings. So basically, long story short, saying put us somewhere that the conditions are better, fix the problems that we say are happening, and then during this time frame, do not evict anyone or go through those procedures, as we believe you have not been doing your job as essentially as the landlords for this apartment complex. So certainly some concerning accusations. We will see what happens with this whole process. Again, I just have to say accusations. That is all it is at this point in time. But we will see what happens as we go through, the process of the court systems. You can see the full lawsuit with all the accusations and everything else via the link in the show notes. As of this recording, I have not seen any sort of response or comment from the Charleston Housing Authority. That certainly could have changed by the time this podcast comes out. But at this point, there just hasn't been any comment. So, like I said, these are accusations currently in a lawsuit, and I'll be sure to keep you all posted on any developments. That'll do it for this edition of Holy City Center Radio. Thank you so much for listening. If you have a moment, please rate, review, like, subscribe, or whatever else you can do on the streaming platform you are currently listening on. I would really appreciate it. You can also just share the podcast with you think someone who may be interested in listening. You can go that extra step by going to holycitycenter.com/shop to pick up some merchandise, or patreon.com/holycitycenter to sign up for one of those support tiers. I greatly appreciate anyone who has already done that or is thinking about it. I really, really appreciate your assistance. I also want to thank Lindsay Marie Collins with LMC Sound System for producing this and every episode of Holy City Center Radio, and for Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every episode as well. I'll be back on Friday. Maybe we'll have some updates on some of these stories that I just mentioned. As always, things could change by the time the podcast comes out with these fluid situations, especially this the U.S. House situation with Kevin McCarthy. But who knows what else may change. So I appreciate y'all understanding that as we sometimes deal with breaking news and things, that are very much in motion as I start recording these podcasts. So if there are any major developments, I will relay them to you on Friday. Until that episode, have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there, and good night and good luck.